What can I say? Work less and live more.
Frustrated, Tzeentch enacted one last gambit, snatching up his vizier, Kairos, first amongst his demonic servants, and cast him into the well of eternity. The greater demon survived his perilous journey, but just barely, much to the delight of his patron lord. The changes the well brought upon the demon lord were drastic in the extreme. His mighty pinions were reduced to weakened vestiges of their former glory. His immortal form was wizened with unnatural age and became hunched. The most bizarre of these changes was that his head and neck had split into two separate heads, which shared both the knowledge of the future and the insanity that had resulted from this knowledge. Kairos now sits at the right hand of Tzeentch as his oracle, mumbling incoherently to himself with mad ramblings about future events yet to happen. 9 times 9 Lords of Change are charged with the all-important task of recording every tirade and fragment of mysterious knowledge passed on by the oracle. After an eternity within the well of eternity, these two heads can see things that remain hidden from even Tzeentch's gaze. Kairos' right head sees visions of all possible futures, whilst his left witnesses the entirety of the past. However, these gifts were not bestowed to Kairos without a price, for whilst his heads perceive everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will, he is blind to the present. This makes the Fate Weaver vulnerable to physical attacks, for the future does not always reveal itself quickly enough to predict the frantic to and fro of melee. For completing the most challenging of quests on behalf of the Lord of Mutations, a few mighty individuals, both demon and mortal alike, are sometimes granted the rare privilege of an audience with the Oracle of Tzeentch. This is a great benefit indeed, for the twin heads knows the answers to all questions and queries, and one of the two heads will always answer with the truth. Unfortunately, the other head simultaneously responds with a contradictory answer, the falsehood being as believable as the truth. Deciphering the resulting cryptic riddle invariably leaves the petitioner frustrated and often despondent. Fortunately for the material universe, Tzeentch rarely sends his oracle to the battlefields of the mortal realm, but on the rare occasion it does. Kairos is known as Fate Weaver. On this plane of existence, the oracle is able to summon great malefic powers and use his infallible prescience to influence the course of a battle. He can unleash tides of warping energy upon the enemy, changing the very landscape of a battlefield to his advantage.
Jävlar.
Looking good. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoy Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and as we all know, let's say that you are, well, 40 plus or whatever. You probably have realized this already. The older you get, the less you want to play. However, you probably still want to paint, and I'm going to show you what I believe is a very optimal painting setup, so that you can paint outdoors and yeah, be connected to nature and well, just imba. These are 3 branches, trees, whatever you want to call it. that has fallen on their own accord. Of course they are too long, and yeah, there are sticky parts and so on. So I'm going to clean these up. First I'm going to show you what I brought here for the whole painting session. I brought some kind of, yeah, of course you don't need an official Citadel water pot, but I have one, so why not use it? You can just take any mug, whatever. And then spännband, and a tarp, pre-tied corners and all of that as per usual. And one bottle for drinking piss, of course, snorting piss and so on. And yeah, some kind of setup mechanism to put the camera on so that it won't wobble. A knife. And a little saw. Maybe one of these are overcourse because you don't need both of them. However, I brought them. And then I also brought miniatures in an egg cartoon. Yeah, total mess here going on. These are Games Workshop's Plague Monks to Skaven. One of them is already painted for reference here. And then I'm going to paint the other ones. And yes, what else? Paints, of course. And yeah, 3 brushes. One kind of standard brush, a little larger one, and then a dry brush. And yeah, some washes, some paints, blah blah blah. This is really not a painting tutorial, it's more of a setup tutorial. Maybe I'll do a painting tutorial one of these days. And then I brought some def water / tap water for, yeah, the water pot. And that's it. So what I'm going to do now is clean these up so that they have a similar length and no bullshit or anything of that nature. Yes. And done. Yes. It took me less than 5 minutes, of course, to clean this up. They are approximately of the same length, no bullshit sticking out anywhere or what have you. And of course, be very careful when using a saw, especially if you are barefoot. You do not want to saw yourself in the foot or the leg or what have you. Yeah, so the length of this, approximately, this is not rocket science. You want them to be a little longer than as long as you can reach. Or things of that nature. I have found out through experiments that that is going to be very proportional. Or whatever you want to call it. Now you need your spännband. Of course you can take rope. Or whatever. But I'm using spännband. And yeah, I'm going to use the little setup mechanism here to show you the real deal. Let's find a good angle. Angle is always key, you know. Yeah, and of course when it comes to the spot, you take a nice spot, somewhat flat or, yeah, what have you, not full of ants or bees or shit. So, let's see here. Ja, ni barn och ungdom. Wait, I gotta flip it around so that you will hear what is going on. Since there's one microphone on the front and one on the downside here, this will not be totally hearable if I'm not doing it like this. And I can also see what I'm doing. Yeah, let's see if this will blow down. Probably it will. So, there is an end that is a little thinner and there is an end that is a little thicker. You want the thick end downwards and the thin ends you want to, yeah, tie together. And yeah, there's no rocket science involved in here either. Just take your spännband. Like so. And then what I do is this. I take it 3 times around. Or something of that nature. And yeah, you want this to be kind of a little loose in the beginning here so that you can fit this strap in between here. Yeah, and then you strap it around like 3 times or so. What? It's goddamn short. Goddamn. Yeah, anyway. And you do the same here. so that you lock this into place. Well, maybe it won't be enough for 3 times, we'll see. But it's okay with 2. And then you just seal the deal. Yeah. It is a little huffs, as we say in Swedish, but you get the principle. 3 times around like so, between like so, between like so. Let's see here. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, now we have constructed a tripod. Let's see if we can get it to stand. Or not. That is the question. To stand or not to stand. Ja, det är färger, det är biljallå, ja. Yes, there we have it. The tripod. I would say that it's perfect. Of course it is my ego talking, but yeah, it is kind of perfect. And then you just take your gear into the situation. You apply it to the situation, so to speak. Yes, and why do this? Why not just sit down on the floor here and paint, or on the ground? Yeah, obviously, if you are in direct sunlight, your paints will dry much faster. Not optimal, I would say. And then there is often a condition of wind going on outdoors as well. Not optimal, I would say. So you want to screen away things to be able to enjoy the experience more, of course. That is the key here. Enjoyment. Enjoyment in life, om man säger. Yes. And of course, since I am a pro, I'm not a noob, I also brought some aged urine, firewater, or whatever you want to call it. For drinking, snorting, what have you. If I need a kick of energy. If fatigue sets in. Yeah, you get what I'm trying to get at. Probably not, but anyway. Yes, so here's the setup. Something is missing, obviously. It's the tarp. Well, this is not going to be perfect. It never is, actually, because yeah, this is not perfectly measured to fit here or whatever, but you can get a somewhat decent setup quite easily, I would say. The key is the rings here on the tarp, that you have pre-tied some rope to it, like so that you have 2 ends that you can just bind together on the whole situation. Let's see where there is less wind so that this won't fall. Yeah, maybe here. There is a little pocket here, little shelter or whatever. Let's turn it around again. Yeah. Not optimal filming conditions, of course. However, you get the picture. You get the picture. Let's see here. There is the top. Well, I need some distance. So that is not a noob situation. Ah, maybe here. In the moss. In the Moss of Doom. Moss of Doom, tripod. We'll see. Let's get rid of this shit. Kristina, här har ju... Alright, there we have it. And yes, it's not going to be optimal, but yeah, it's going to be quite optimal. And you want the back of this situation towards the sun, of course, to screen away the sun. And yeah, if you want to be really cheeky, you can take a knife or saw and do some marks here to put the rope on so that it won't yeah, slide up or whatever. And yeah, this is kind of it. If you want, you can take a quite longer or larger tarp to be able to, yeah, put this down here, and then you can, I don't know, put some shit on it, like so. Yeah, it's a bad example, but yeah, like so, you get it. Something heavy. This is not heavy, but like a rock or whatever, so that it won't blow away. But there is not a critical wind situation going on today. Yes, and this is basically it. So let's paint a little. And of course I don't recommend any furniture. Furniture is for noobs, as we all know. However, I recommend variation when it comes to this. And yeah, one way to get good variation in is to have something to sit on occasionally. So I'm taking this tröja, sweater, here, and just lying it down like so, because then you can, I'm going to show you from a distance here. Man tror ju att det ska gå att göra någonting. Det gör ju inte alltid det. Is it visible? Yes, it kind of is. Yeah, because then you can vary here between flat-footed squat, and then you can, yeah, sit on your toes or whatever, like so. And you can also sit on your legs, like so, and still be in contact with the ground, direct contact, that is. And yeah, you can also sit like this, of course. Variation is key here, rotation. Do not sit too long in one position. That is all I have to say about it. So, let's see here. And you want all of your things to be in the shade here. The votar. And the paints. And the miniatures. And yeah, I'm not bringing any wet palette here because yeah, you can always optimize it by adding more water. You don't want to paint with soup, you don't want to paint with peanut butter. That is the consistency that I'm aiming for. I'm going to start with the squat here. Squat painting. You take your miniature, you take your paint. I like to add some water before I start painting. Maybe 3 drops or whatever. It's up to you, of course. It's always up to you. Shake it. And then if you have a bit of plastic or whatever, you can put it on here and mix the paint. I'm just gonna rock and roll here and take it straight out of the pot. Do some overbrushing here on this plague monk. There is a very good lighting condition here, even though it is in the shade. Nice. And yeah, this is basically it, actually. of course this is way nicer than sitting indoors in some apartment or whatever. And yeah, I recommend natural distractions instead of bringing your smartphone or whatever for yeah, music or anything of that nature. Just enjoying nature might be good enough. Yeah, I won't bore you with the whole process. Anyway, this is something that I highly recommend, so that you can, there it is, upgrade your painting, miniature painting. It doesn't have to be Warhammer, it can be whatever. But yeah, this setup is very simple, very cheap, and in my opinion and experience, very nice as well. So, try it out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Have an awesome now. Ciao. The sun is overrated. Of course it's a factor, but it's not a key factor, as many people believe. Oxygen is a key factor. The nicest places are close to water. That's it. I would say that the key is always to work less and live more. Voluntary simplicity, creativity, connecting with nature, connecting with self, and so on. But of course you can also work more and live less. It's up to you.